Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to, what is this? Episode 7 of, I always forget what the title is. Spiritual Lessons from Harry Potter. Okay. Alrighty, muggles. Let's get to it. So we're on the Sorcerer's Stone. Today we're going to do chapters 12, 13, and 14. And so in chapter 12, it's about the Mirror of Erised. I forgot. I wanted to look up how to pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it. And I didn't watch the movies. Or at least I didn't pay attention to watching the movies. So the Mirror of Erised. And so in these next chapters, there's a lot of description, a lot of like character development, building up the story. And there's basically one main spiritual lesson from each chapter. And here in this chapter, the main spiritual lesson is about the mirror, right? So what's happening here? It's Christmas break. Harry is enjoying the castle kind of more to himself because most of the students have gone away. And one night he stumbles into a room that has this mirror, and when he looks into it, he sees himself surrounded by all of his family. And he's so mesmerized and fascinated by it that he like just sits there. And the next night he brings Ron to see it. And when Ron looks in the mirror, Ron sees himself as head boy, right? He sees himself as head boy and Quidditch captain, and they've won the Quidditch tournament. And they're like confused, like, oh, I thought, the mirror is going to show you my whole family. But when Ron looks at it, he sees himself as head boy. But he doesn't let that bother him. And he goes again on the third night to go to the mirror again and see his reflection and admire his family. And on that third night, Dumbledore is there. And Dumbledore's like, back again, and I just want to read you that part because that's the lesson, right? So Dumbledore's trying to help Harry see if Harry can figure out what, how does this mirror work? What is it showing? Because, he's saying like, okay, for me, it shows my family, and for Ron, it's showing him as head boy, and the Quidditch captain. So, he says, let me explain. The happiest man on earth would be able to use the mirror of Erised like a normal mirror. That is, he would look into it and see himself exactly as he is. Does that help? Harry thought. Then he said slowly, it shows us what we want? Whatever we want? Yes and no, said Dumbledore quietly. It shows us nothing more or less than the deepest, most desperate desires of our hearts. You, who have never known your family, see them standing around you. Ronald Weasley, who has always been overshadowed by his brothers, sees himself standing alone, the best of them all. However, this mirror will give us neither knowledge or truth. Men have wasted away before it, entranced by what they have seen, or been driven mad, not knowing if what it shows is real or even possible. So, this is just something for us to reflect on, right? If we were to stand in front of this mirror, what would we see, right? What would we see? And what is the deepest desire of your heart? And then, because we know that the thief of happiness is like, being malcontented with where we are now, what can we do to support ourselves to be content, even though we don't have whatever this deepest desire is of our heart, right? What can we do now to make ourselves happy, to get ourselves in a good place, to feel that sense of peace and contentment that, like, for Harry, for example, even though I've never been with my parents, I've never seen them, I don't know them, I don't know my extended family, how can I come to happiness and peace now? How can I get myself into a place so that when I look in the mirror, I would just see myself, right? And same thing for Ron. For Ron to feel that, okay, even though I'm not head boy and I'm not the best amongst my brothers, how could I get myself there? And of course, there's always something we could do. There is something that we could do to get ourselves to be content with where we are now, even if we're striving for more, even if we want to change our conditions. It doesn't mean that you have to accept what you have and like that's it. There's nothing you can do about it. You can accept where you are and be wanting to build and improve and move forward. But the real trick, the real key is like to get yourself to happy now and not delay it and put it off until or if only, or if I wish, because then you're just miserable the whole time. All right, so that's chapter 12. Then we move on to chapter 13, which is titled Nicholas Flamel. So if you'll remember, Hagrid had mentioned to them that what was in the package at Gringotts is between Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel. And so then Ron, Hermione, and Harry were trying to figure out who that was. And in this chapter, that is what they discover. And there's also drama in this chapter about Snape. You know, what is he going to do? He is going to be the ref for the Quidditch match, and they're still like suspicious of Snape and all of that. But they figure out who Nicholas Flamel is because he was someone who was on a chocolate frog, and or Albus Dumbledore was on a chocolate frog, and it said that Albus was known for his work on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel. So then Hermione, of course, has a book, and she grabs the book, and it explains what it is. And I'm going to read you that part. The ancient study of alchemy is concerned with making the Sorcerer's Stone, a legendary substance with astonishing powers. The stone will transform any metal into pure gold. It also produces the elixir of life, which will make the drinker immortal. There have been many reports of the Sorcerer's Stone over the centuries, but the only stone currently in existence belongs to Mr. Nicholas Flamel, the noted alchemist and opera lover. Mr. Flamel, who celebrated his 665th birthday last year, enjoys a quiet life in Devon with his wife, Pernilla, who's 658. Okay, so there's alchemy, turning a base metal into gold. Here we having alchemy that not only produces a sorcerer's stone, which can turn things into gold, turn any metal into gold, and produces an elixir of life that will make the drinker immortal. And this concept, this idea, is a legendary concept, and it also has spiritual connotations to it. If you've read the book The Alchemist, that's a fantastic book. That book is already spiritual, but we could have a whole discussion about that book too. I would love to do that. But this idea of taking a base metal and transforming it to gold, its spiritual implications obviously are taking our own selves, purifying ourselves, and coming out, more pristine, a shinier, more valuable version of ourselves. Not more valuable, a shinier, more pure version of ourselves than we were before, releasing any impurities and things like that. And that spiritual connection, right, is something that has always been sought through the ages. Like that's what we're here for. We're here to constantly elevate and purify ourselves, right? Islam is all about purification of the heart, taking yourself and making yourself an improved version. So now we have the setup of what's the Sorcerer's Stone, what's its value, why people would want it, and that's the thing that needs to be guarded and protected. Oh, and then also in this chapter is a Quidditch match where Snape is the judge, and so Harry's super nervous because he believes that in the previous match that Snape was the one messing with his broom and almost knocked him off. So in this match, he wants to catch the snitch quickly, and he does. He catches it within 5 minutes in like a very beautiful way. And so it says here he couldn't ever remember feeling happier. He'd really done something to be proud of. No one could say he was just a famous name anymore. And I like this line because it just speaks to like that desire within us to achieve something, to create something, to demonstrate our skill and our talent, right? Even if we are famous or successful or, maybe super wealthy, our parents are wealthy, there is this desire within us to show that like, I have something to give to, I have something to contribute, I have something to prove. And really that's not to prove. I have something to bring. That's really what we are here for, right? Allah has created us as his representative, representing God with something to show to the world that we have to share, to give, to bring. And so here Harry has this taste of like, I've done something for myself, and now I'm not just famous because I'm Harry Potter. Like if people are mentioning me or whatever, knowing about me, I have an accomplishment, an achievement to my name as well. And then finally we have chapter 14. And this is the chapter about the Norbert, the Norwegian Ridgeback. And in this chapter, we discover that Hagrid has won a dragon's egg, and it's gonna hatch, or it hatches, and he's trying to take care of it, and Ron, Hermione, and Harry are like, oh my gosh, you guys, you can't have a dragon. It's a legal one, and like it's gonna burn your house down. And they devise a plan for Ron's older brother Charlie to take the dragon because he takes care of dragons. And this chapter again is a bit more character development, talking about them studying for their exams and all of those things. But within it, Malfoy is finds out about the dragon and is holding it against them, and is trying to use it to see if he can do something to Hagrid or to the our friendly trio here. And I'm thinking, I thought I had something more to pull from this, but nothing is coming to mind. So we'll leave it there. That's just a fun chapter, chapter 14, about the dragon. It sets us up for future books. It sets us up for a lot of other things in this chapter. They talk about who else is guarding the Sorcerer's Stone, and they learn that different professors have all put a different spell, a different protection to protect the Sorcerer's Stone. Hagrid's is the first, which is the three-headed dog named Fluffy, but then there's other professors. And so that information becomes important and valuable later, as does the dragon becomes important and valuable information in future books. And that is just a beautiful, beautiful way that the books all tie together, that, that this just fun chapter of like learning about something, how it's thinking ahead and leading to what's to come later, even though right now in this moment, here's the spiritual lesson. I knew I would get to it somehow. Even though right now in this moment, right, like Ron even says, like, can't I just have a normal week? Like, can my life just be boring? It's like every week something is going on. And I have to deal with this dragon, help Hagrid hide it and take care of it, and then like get it away, and the dragon bites Ron, and he's in the hospital wing, all of this stuff. And it seemed like just a nuisance of a thing happening. And then later on, all of that is going to come together. So same thing with us. Like if there's something you're going through, like, well, why am I going through this? Why is this happening? Like, this is just an inconvenience. This is so annoying. I'm so frustrated. All of these things, you don't know how it's going to tie into your life later, and just trust that it will, and believe in a greater plan, and relax and go through. If it's a challenge, go through the challenge, or if it's something good and you're like, I unexpectedly got this good thing, accept it and enjoy it and embrace it. And if you want to talk about receptivity, that was my Keys to Love session today, which is the September Keys to Love session, the 9th session. Get that, accept it, enjoy it, and then allow to see how it's going to connect to your future. All right. Thank you for joining me. Again, I have a Instagram group that you can message me to be a part of. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next episode. Assalamu alaikum.